and welcome to another deep dive. You know how we do it around here. Today we're going deep into Atlanta.
Atlanta.
But not the Atlanta you see on those travel brochures.
Right.
We're going beyond the surface level, the typical tourist stuff, and we're going to get into Atlanta's culture and digital scene.
Sounds fun.
And we're doing this all through the lens of this awesome podcast called Poor Minds.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. Poor Minds, they're pretty popular in the Atlanta scene. So we're going to be checking out excerpts from one of their recent episodes.
Cool.
And just for kicks, just to mix things up a bit, we're also going to be throwing in a dash of real life Atlanta weirdness, a little bit of winter weather stuff to see, how these different pieces connect, how these seemingly unrelated things might actually have some interesting links between them. So
sounds like fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. And speaking of interesting connections, one thing that really jumped out at me when I was listening to Poor Minds was how the hosts, Alex P. and Jay Nicole, reacted to the whole TikTok ban ordeal.
Oh, yeah, that was the big one.
I mean, everybody was talking about it, but they each had such different takes on it, almost like it revealed something deeper about,
About them.
About them, yeah, like how they approach uncertainty and change.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting how a single event like that can kind of act like a mirror reflecting our own, anxieties, or even in Alex P's case, maybe a sense of opportunity, because she seemed almost entertained by the whole thing.
She did.
Like she was watching an episode of Black Mirror unfold in real time.
And she didn't hold back on her commentary about the people who were freaking out.
Oh, no, she did not.
I mean, she even called them out with that playful, "Y'all were acting a plumb fool" line.
That's hilarious.
Right. But it wasn't just about being snarky or, making fun of people.
Right.
She also made a really interesting point about how she's built several different income streams for herself. Yeah, and she's not afraid to hustle if one of them dries up, So that got me thinking, is that kind of entrepreneurial spirit becoming more crucial these days?
Absolutely. I mean, the internet, it's created so many amazing opportunities, right? But it's also incredibly unpredictable.
Yeah.
I mean, platforms come and go, algorithms change overnight, and that can leave people feeling really vulnerable, especially if they've put all their eggs in one basket, like you were saying.
Exactly.
And I think Alex P's approach, well, maybe a bit blunt,
Right.
It speaks to this growing need for adaptability and resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Especially for younger generations, entering the workforce that looks nothing like what their parents experienced.
That's a good point. And it's interesting because Jay Nicole, while agreeing that diversifying income is smart, she also brought in the human side of it all. She talked about how so many people rely solely on TikTok for their livelihood.
It's true.
And how terrifying it must be to have that rug pulled out from under you. And she really stressed the importance of financial literacy. And not just for making money, but for navigating those kinds of disruptions, which seem to be happening more and more these days.
I think that resonates with a lot of people. Regardless of age or profession, we're all facing this future that feels increasingly uncertain.
Yeah.
Whether it's the economy, climate change, these rapid technological advancements.
Yeah.
Jay Nicole's point about financial literacy, it's not just about knowing how to budget. It's about feeling empowered to handle whatever curveballs life throws at you.
Yeah. It makes you think, like, if your primary income source just disappeared tomorrow,
poof,
gone, what would you do? Would you panic, or would you have a plan B ready to roll?
I like that plan B.
Right? I mean, this whole TikTok situation really brings those questions to the forefront.
It definitely does. And it's not just about the money itself. It's about the psychological impact of that kind of instability. It can be incredibly stressful.
Oh, for sure.
And make people feel like they've lost control. And the way we each respond to those challenges, I think it reveals a lot about our resilience and our ability to adapt.
Okay, now let's talk about something a little different, but still connected to this idea of challenging norms.
Okay.
Alex P. shared this pretty interesting story about how some men seem intimidated by women who are well-traveled.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not just talking about geography here.
Right.
She told this anecdote about an ex-boyfriend who felt like he'd have to fly her to Greece or Paris to impress her.
That's wild.
I know it speaks volumes, right?
It does. It touches on this underlying anxiety that some men feel about dating women who have a wide range of experiences.
Yeah.
And a strong sense of self.
Like, his assumption was that a woman like Alex P., who's clearly been around the block, wouldn't be satisfied with simple dates or gestures. It was like he was saying she'd be too hard to impress because she's already seen and done it all.
Yeah, like what could he possibly offer her?
Exactly. But her response was so refreshing. She basically said, it's not about the location, it's about the company. And Jay Nicole backed her up too, saying she prefers men who are well-traveled and cultured themselves.
Of course.
Guys who can keep up with her intellectually and share new experiences together.
Makes sense.
So what I find fascinating is how this ties into those evolving relationship dynamics,
Yeah.
We're moving away from those traditional roles and expectations.
For sure.
And that can be exciting, but also unsettling, especially for people who are clinging to those old ideas about what it means to be a man or a woman in a relationship.
Absolutely.
But Alex P. and Jay Nicole, they're clearly not interested in playing those games. They're looking for partners who are confident in themselves.
Yes.
And see a woman's experience as an asset, not a threat.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder if those guys who are intimidated by well-traveled women are actually insecure about their own lack of experience.
It's possible.
Or maybe afraid of being outshone.
Yeah, it's almost like they're equating a woman's experience with her being high maintenance or difficult to please.
Right.
But what Alex P. and Jay Nicole are suggesting is that it's actually the opposite.
Right.
They're not looking for someone to shower them with expensive gifts or take them on extravagant trips.
No.
They're looking for genuine connection, intellectual stimulation,
right,
and someone who can keep up with their adventurous spirits.
And they both hinted at this grooming dynamic that sometimes happens,
Oh, yeah.
where men specifically seek out less experienced partners so they can feel more in control or dominant.
Interesting.
It's like they want a blank slate they can mold, rather than a woman who already has her own opinions and experiences.
It's a problematic pattern, for sure.
Yeah.
It speaks to a desire for control and a fear of equality in a relationship.
Yeah.
But thankfully, more and more women like Alex P. and Jay Nicole are calling out this behavior and setting higher standards for the kind of partners they're willing to accept.
It's definitely a shift in the dating landscape, and it makes you think about what truly matters in a relationship,
For sure.
Is it about keeping score, trying to impress each other?
Right.
Or is it about finding someone who celebrates your growth and sees your experiences as something that adds to the relationship?
That's the question, isn't it? And it speaks to this larger conversation about evolving gender roles and expectations.
Right.
We're moving away from these rigid ideas of what it means to be masculine or feminine in a relationship.
Yeah.
And that can be incredibly liberating for both men and women.
Speaking of liberation, Alex P's definition of luxury really caught my attention.
Oh, yeah. What was hers?
It wasn't about fancy cars or designer handbags or anything like that.
Okay.
She described it as freedom and spontaneity. She talked about hating the 9-to-5 grind.
I feel that.
And wanting a partner who understands and supports her without needing constant prompting.
I like that.
It made me think about how we often equate luxury with material possessions.
It's true.
But maybe it's really about creating a life that feels luxurious from the inside out.
Absolutely. That resonates with me so much. True luxury is about having the freedom to design your life on your own terms, to pursue your passions, to be with people who get you.
Yes.
And to feel a sense of peace and contentment, regardless of your external circumstances.
She even told the story about hating those 4:30 a.m. wake-up calls when she had a corporate job. It was like a symbol of everything she wanted to escape the rigidity, the lack of control, the feeling of being trapped in a system that didn't value her individuality.
I get it.
And she contrasted that with her current lifestyle, where she's built her own business, she sets her own schedule,
Nice.
and has the freedom to travel and explore.
That's awesome. It's a powerful example of how we can redefine what success and fulfillment look like.
For sure.
It's not about conforming to societal expectations or chasing external markers of wealth or status.
Right.
It's about creating a life that feels authentic and aligned with your values.
Yes.
And that can look very different for each individual.
And Jay Nicole added her own twist to the definition of luxury. She said it's about freedom from debt negativity and toxic relationships.
Ooh, I like that.
It's about doing the inner work, cultivating gratitude, and feeling comfortable in your own skin.
That's beautiful. It's a reminder that true luxury is about mental and emotional well-being.
Yes.
It's about freeing yourself from the burdens that weigh you down.
Right.
And creating space for joy, peace, and genuine connection.
This whole conversation made me stop and think, what does luxury really mean to me?
It's a good question.
And it's not an easy question to answer. Is it about material possessions, experiences, or a state of mind?
Yeah.
It seems like Alex P. and Jay Nicole are suggesting that it's a bit of all of those things, but ultimately it's about crafting a life that feels truly fulfilling on a deeper level.
It's a journey, not a destination.
I like that.
It's about constantly evaluating your priorities, making choices that align with your values, and being willing to let go of anything that no longer serves you.
And that can be a challenging process.
Oh, absolutely.
It requires self-awareness, honesty, and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone.
For sure.
But the rewards, as Alex P. and Jay Nicole are demonstrating, can be incredibly fulfilling.
It's about creating a life that feels luxurious, not just in the traditional sense, but in a way that nourishes your soul and allows you to thrive authentically.
This is getting deep.
I know, right?
But it's so interesting to hear these different perspectives on what it means to live a good life, especially from women who are out there creating their own paths and challenging the status quo.
It's inspiring, for sure. And it makes you wonder, what small steps can you take today to move closer to your own vision of luxury?
Ooh, good question. Maybe it's about setting boundaries. Saying no to things that drain your energy.
Absolutely.
Or carving out time for activities that bring you joy.
Or maybe it's about investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's through education, travel, or simply taking care of your physical and mental health.
It doesn't have to be grand gestures. It's about those small, consistent actions that over time create a life that feels aligned with your true self.
Exactly.
Now, before we go any further down this rabbit hole, let's shift gears and talk about something a little lighter, but still incredibly revealing about Atlanta's culture.
Okay, I'm ready.
Remember that recent snowfall that basically shut down the entire city?
Oh, yeah. The infamous Atlanta snow panic of 2025.
Jay Nicole's reaction was priceless. She was absolutely disgusted by the fact that people were out there eating snow.
Oh, no.
She was like, bitch, be fucking for real, bro.
That's hilarious. But it also raises some interesting questions about how we react to the unexpected and unfamiliar.
Right.
Like, why does a little snow cause such chaos in a city that prides itself on being modern and sophisticated?
It's like all the fancy restaurants and high-rises suddenly become irrelevant when Mother Nature throws a curveball.
Right.
It makes you think about our relationship with the natural world and how disconnected we become from it.
Especially in a place like Atlanta, where the focus is often on progress and development.
Yeah.
It's almost as if people have forgotten that nature has its own rhythm.
Right.
And that sometimes we just have to surrender to its power.
It's a good reminder that even in the most urban environments, we're still subject to the whims of nature.
Oh, for sure.
And maybe that's not such a bad thing. It can be humbling, even a little bit magical.
I agree.
To be reminded of our place in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. It forces us to slow down, to be present, to appreciate the simple things.
Yeah.
And to remember that we're not always in control.
But for some Atlantans, it seems like surrendering to a snow day is simply not an option.
Oh, no.
Jay Nicole was horrified by people venturing out into the frozen tundra, risking life and limb just to grab groceries.
Really?
Or even worse, a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
It's like their routines and creature comforts have become so ingrained that they can't fathom deviating from them.
Yeah.
Even in the face of a blizzard.
It makes you wonder if that's a sign of resilience or just plain stubbornness.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Right. Yeah. But it's definitely a fascinating glimpse into the Atlanta psyche and how people prioritize their needs and desires.
It also speaks to the power of social influence.
Oh, yeah.
When you see everyone else braving the elements, it's easy to get swept up in that collective energy.
Right.
And feel like you have to do the same, even if it's not rational.
And maybe that's just part of what makes Atlanta so unique.
Yeah.
It's a city full of contradictions. Modern, yet steeped in tradition. Ambitious, yet laid back. Sophisticated, yet down to earth.
It's true.
Even the way people react to a little snow reveals a complex tapestry of personalities and perspectives.
It's a city that's constantly evolving, pushing boundaries and challenging expectations.
And through the voices of Alex P. and Jay Nicole, we're getting a front row seat to that evolution.
I love it.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're not just talking about Atlanta. We're using it as a lens to explore broader themes of personal growth.
Right.
Resilience and navigating a world that's constantly changing.
It's about finding the connections between seemingly disparate topics like the TikTok ban relationship dynamics and even Atlanta's response to a snowstorm.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, it's all connected, reflecting our individual choices, societal norms, and the larger forces that shape our lives.
Stay tuned because we've got even more insights and juicy tidbits from the world of poor minds coming up.
So we've been exploring some pretty thought-provoking concepts, right?
Yeah, it's been a lot to unpack, but in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. Like from adapting to change and redefining luxury to challenging traditional relationship dynamics.
Right.
It seems like these Poor Minds ladies are really pushing us to think outside the box.
It is refreshing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They're not afraid to be themselves, to share their opinions, and to challenge the status quo.
Right?
But what I also found interesting were those little nuggets they sprinkled throughout their conversation.
I know what you mean.
Those seemingly random details that actually reveal a lot about their personalities and values.
Oh, yeah. Like when Alex P. mentioned she's doing this intense 75-day challenge.
Right.
No alcohol, daily workouts, a seafood diet. And she's committed to reading every single day.
It's pretty hardcore.
It is.
I mean, I struggle to stick to a workout routine for like a week.
Yeah.
Let alone 75 days. It makes you wonder, what's driving her? Is it about pushing her physical limits?
Yeah.
Achieving a specific goal? Or maybe even proving something to herself?
It could be all of those things.
Right.
Or maybe it's simply about exploring her own potential and seeing how far she can push herself.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of discipline and self-awareness required to commit to something like that.
Yeah.
And it speaks to a desire for self-improvement that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Definitely. And then there's the fact that she's decided to learn Spanish.
Oh, wow.
It's like her mind is constantly seeking new challenges and experiences.
That's awesome.
And she even threw out this idea for a Poor Minds talent show.
I would pay to see that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I can just imagine the hilarity that would ensue.
It speaks to their playful energy and their willingness to put themselves out there, even if it means looking a little silly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that life doesn't always have to be so serious. It's okay to let loose, have fun, and embrace your inner goofball.
Absolutely. And remember that delicious sounding Golden Glow mocktail they were sipping on?
Yeah.
It sounded like the perfect antidote to a dreary Atlanta winter day.
It's interesting how even their drink choices reflect a certain intentionality.
Yeah.
They're choosing to nourish their bodies with healthy, vibrant ingredients, even when they're just hanging out and chatting.
Right.
It's like their commitment to well-being extends beyond the gym and into their everyday lives.
And they're always brewing up new ideas. They teased some big Poor Minds news that they couldn't share yet.
Oh, really?
Which left me hanging on the edge of my seat.
What could it be?
It's clear that they're not content with just coasting along.
Right.
They're constantly striving to grow their platform, expand their reach, and connect with their audience in new and meaningful ways.
Their ambition is contagious.
It is.
It makes you wonder, what are they dreaming? A book deal, a live tour, a line of Golden Glow mocktail mixers.
Ooh.
The possibilities are endless.
I'm dying to know, but it also makes me think about the importance of having that drive, that hunger to keep pushing yourself creatively and professionally.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to see women like Alex P. and Jay Nicole who are so passionate about their work and so committed to making a positive impact.
It's a reminder that we all have the potential to create something meaningful.
Right.
To build a legacy, to leave our mark on the world.
Yeah.
It might not be a podcast or a talent show,
Yeah.
but we each have our own unique gifts and passions that we can share with the world.
Now let's circle back to a theme that really resonated with me, defining luxury on your own terms.
Right.
Alex P. and Jay Nicole both challenged the traditional notion of luxury as being all about material possessions.
Yeah.
And instead focused on experiences, freedom, and personal fulfillment.
It's a powerful shift in perspective, isn't it?
It is.
It's about recognizing that true luxury is about creating a life that feels abundant and fulfilling from the inside out.
Yes.
It's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your time, who you surround yourself with, and how you define success.
Alex P's desire for spontaneity and her rejection of the 9-to-5 grind speaks to a growing desire for autonomy and flexibility.
I agree.
And Jay Nicole's emphasis on mental and emotional well-being highlights the importance of prioritizing self-care and cultivating a positive mindset.
It's like they're saying, screw the societal expectations and the pressure to keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
We're going to create our own definition of success and happiness, and it's going to be based on what truly matters to us.
And it's not just about individual fulfillment.
Right.
They both touched on the importance of surrounding yourself with a supportive community.
Yeah.
People who uplift you, challenge you, and encourage you to grow.
That's such a crucial aspect of creating a life that feels luxurious in every sense of the word. It's about having a tribe of people who believe in you, who celebrate your wins, and who are there to support you through the inevitable challenges.
It's like having your own personal cheer squad.
Yes.
But they're also financial gurus, relationship coaches, and personal development mentors all rolled into one.
Exactly. They help you see your own potential, They push you to step outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
And they remind you that you're not alone on this journey.
It's so easy to get caught up in the comparison game.
Oh, yeah.
To feel like you're not doing enough or to let the opinions of others dictate your choices.
That's true.
But Alex P. and J. Nicole are reminding us that true luxury is about staying true to yourself, honoring your values, and creating a life that feels authentically you.
It's about defining success on your own terms and surrounding yourself with people who support and celebrate your unique journey.
So if you had to create your own definition of luxury, what would it include?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What experiences, relationships, or values are essential for you to feel truly fulfilled?
It's a question worth pondering because it can guide you towards creating a life that feels aligned with your deepest desires and aspirations.
Maybe it's about spending more time in nature, pursuing a creative passion, building deeper connections with loved ones, or simply having the financial freedom to make choices that bring you joy.
It's about recognizing that luxury is not a one-size-fits-all concept.
Right.
It's about crafting a life that feels tailored to your individual needs, values, and aspirations.
And it's about giving yourself permission to prioritize those things, to make choices that honor your authentic self, and to let go of anything that no longer serves you.
Because ultimately, true luxury is about creating a life that feels rich and meaningful, regardless of your external circumstances.
This whole conversation has been so inspiring.
It has.
It's a reminder that we all have the power to create our own version of luxury, to live a life that feels aligned with our values, and to find joy and fulfillment in the everyday moments.
And it's about recognizing that luxury is not a destination, it's a journey. It's about constantly evolving, learning, growing, and making choices that move you closer to the life you envision.
Now, while we're on this journey of self-discovery, let's dive into another topic that Alex P. and J. Nicole tackled with their signature blend of humor and honesty.
All right.
The myths and misconceptions surrounding sex and relationships.
Ooh, this is where things get juicy.
Get ready for some real talk about intimacy double standards and challenging those outdated beliefs that are holding us back from experiencing true pleasure and connection. We've been talking about creating a life that feels luxurious, authentic, but that also means being honest about the things that make us uncomfortable, the topics we often shy away from. And for a lot of people, that includes sex.
Yeah, it's fascinating how sex can still be such a taboo subject, especially for women.
Yeah.
There's this societal pressure to be discreet, to avoid being too much or too forward.
Right.
But Alex B. and J. Nicole are definitely not afraid to break those barriers.
No, they are not. They went straight there talking openly about their own experiences and challenging some of the myths that we often carry about sex, especially those that are rooted in shame and misinformation.
One moment that really stood out was when J. Nicole talked about a commenter who criticized their openness about sex, calling it embarrassing to women. And get this, the commenter was a self-proclaimed motivational speaker.
Oh, wow. The irony.
Right? It highlights this double standard that we often impose on women.
Yeah.
It's like they're supposed to be both desirable and innocent, but never too knowledgeable or experienced about their own bodies and desires.
Right.
Alex P. and J. Nicole are calling out that hypocrisy, and it's so refreshing.
They made a great point that sex is a natural part of life, so why do we treat it like this hush-hush, shameful thing?
Exactly. Especially when that silence can lead to misinformation and unhealthy attitudes towards intimacy.
So let's get into some of the myths they debunked. Alex P. admitted that she used to believe you could get pregnant at any time of the month.
Oh, yeah. That's a common misconception.
Right.
And it speaks to the need for comprehensive sex education that goes beyond the basics.
For sure.
J. Nicole is really passionate about this, emphasizing that sex ed shouldn't just focus on the mechanics of reproduction. It should also address how men and women view sex differently, how to communicate effectively with your partner, and how to make responsible decisions about your sexual health.
It's about empowering young people with knowledge and helping them develop healthy attitudes towards sex and relationships.
And it's about creating a culture where these conversations are normalized, not stigmatized. Because when we shy away from talking about sex, we create a vacuum that gets filled with misinformation and shame.
Then there's the myth that J. Nicole absolutely shut down the idea that bigger is better. She even admitted to believing this in her younger years, thinking that size was the ultimate measure of satisfaction.
It's a myth that's been perpetuated by media and cultural stereotypes, and it can create unrealistic expectations and anxieties, especially for young men.
But as we mature and gain more experience, we realize that true pleasure and intimacy go far beyond physical attributes.
Absolutely. It's about connection, communication, mutual respect, and exploring what truly brings both partners satisfaction.
And let's not forget the hickey shame. Alex P. shared how she used to think having a hickey meant you were a whore. It's amazing how these seemingly insignificant things can become so loaded with judgment and societal pressure, especially for young women.
It speaks to the way we often police women's sexuality, using shame and labels to control their behavior and limit their expression.
But Alex P. and J. Nicole are challenging those norms, reclaiming their power, and encouraging other women to do the same.
By being open and honest about their experiences, they're helping to destigmatize these conversations and create a space for more authenticity and acceptance.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into Atlanta's culture and digital scene, I'm left with a sense of admiration for Alex P. and J. Nicole.
Me too.
They're smart, they're funny, they're vulnerable, and they're not afraid to challenge the status quo.
They're like that breath of fresh air you need when you've been stuck in a stuffy room for too long.
Yeah.
They're relatable, they're inspiring, and they make you want to live a little more boldly.
They're a reminder that it's okay to be yourself, to embrace your imperfections, and to create a life that feels aligned with your values, even if it means going against the grain.
And they show us that having these honest conversations, whether it's about redefining luxury or debunking sex myths, can be both empowering and liberating.
So as you go about your day, remember the insights we've unpacked today. Think about what luxury means to you. Challenge those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back. And don't be afraid to have those tough conversations that can lead to deeper understanding and connection.
And if you're looking for a dose of inspiration, laughter, and real talk, definitely check out Poor Minds. Alex P. and J. Nicole will make you think, they'll make you laugh, and they might even inspire you to shake things up a bit.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Poor Minds and a little bit of Atlanta winter weirdness. Until next time, keep those minds poured and those conversations flowing.